to go now to KCAL News reporter Amanda Starantino. She is there. She's live talking about the winds and also the brush fire. I believe, is she near Pacific Palisades?
Yeah, Christine, I'm right by where the brush fire is at. We saw it from our location when we were on Topanga Canyon Boulevard at PCH. We rushed over here, followed the fire trucks up. This started very, very quickly. All of a sudden, there was a big plume of smoke, and we rushed our way over here to see what was going on. And this fire has grown very, very quickly in this area. So we are on Piedra Morada, right at Monte Hermoso. It's a very hectic situation when we got here about 20 minutes ago. A lot of people taking the precaution, immediately evacuating from their homes. I asked people, are you being forced to evacuate? And they said, no, we're just going because these flames are coming right up. Where you're looking at now, I'm told that these residents were told to leave. You can see fire crews are obviously here. This is also Piedra Morada. And what we're seeing with this, from what we've been able to gather, we have not been able to talk to any fire officials on scene because they're all have their hands tied right now, obviously. It's following this whole ridge around, and it's going right behind some homes. We were able to see some flames coming right into someone's backyard. I was able to talk to that homeowner. He was very nervous about what was going on, but he was able to get everybody out of his home there. And actually, Victor, my photographer, if you can turn around here, come this way, and if you look straight up on that ridge, you can see those hand crews actually coming in. If you can zoom in, and I'm not sure you guys can see it. Okay, we can see it. And there are flames right in front of them. When I was talking to some residents, Christine and Amy, just about 5 minutes ago, they were watching this and they were saying, where you're looking at now, actually, that ridge caught on fire around New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, right around then. So they're just seeing a lot of issues right now in this area. Obviously, we've had a lot of wind. It is very, very, very dry out here. We just we keep seeing situations like this, and the wind just keeps getting stronger and stronger throughout the morning. We've been out here since about 4 a.m. in this area, stationed near Topanga Canyon Boulevard and PCH in Malibu, and the winds just keep kicking up, and it's only getting worse. A lot of neighbors already out of this neighborhood. This is already a much calmer situation on the road since we got here about 20-30 minutes ago, with people just leaving and evacuating, allowing these firefighters to do what they need to do today. So we can see LA City Fire Department here doing what they have to do, trying to get people out. But it doesn't look like the situation is getting much better. I'm going to walk around a little bit just to see if we can see anything else here. The road's very busy and hectic. Okay, we can see some flames over here if you want to come this way, up on this ridge where those hand crews were walking towards, right over here. So if Victor can take a look at that, he's going to move over there for you guys to see that angle of it. I know our chopper can't get up there because of the president in town, but this is moving quickly and getting very, very close to homes, and the wind just blowing with it, and that's the exact direction we are seeing this fire go, and just completely around this ridge. Really big homes out here, very nice homes. A lot of people here just prepared to leave with obviously the precautions set for this morning. But again, not a good situation here in Pacific Palisades. The wind's starting to really kick up, guys.
You've been out all morning long. You were in Malibu a little earlier. We saw a lot of winds there. Give us an idea of what you're seeing as far as the winds in this community, because we know that they can be so strong in one area and then you move just a couple blocks away and the winds are a lot softer, a lot lighter. So give us an idea of what you're experiencing out there.
Yes, Amy, it's just constantly changing, and you just don't know what's going to happen, and that's what happens in these situations, especially when we're talking about fires. You never know what's going to happen. We can see some choppers up that way, but just take a look up. When you're looking at that chopper, you can see the wind right there with the palm trees. It's blowing very, very strong there. You can see the chopper coming over, hopefully going to help with this situation here. But, Amy, the wind it's constantly getting worse, especially as we went up this hill this way. It's just even worse. It's not good.
Yeah, and Amanda, since we've been on the air, so less than a half an hour, that fire has grown from 20 acres to 200 acres, and we imagine it will only grow more. What are you seeing in terms of the people who live here? Are they trying to get out, or are they just sheltering in place?
Christine, from what I've seen is people are trying to get out. They're letting firefighters do what they need to do. I'm going to take my IFB out, so I won't be able to hear you for a second. But a lot of residents in this area, they're just trying to make their way out. Some are staying, as you can see right here, just asking what's going on. They have not been forced to evacuate some of these residents. So some of them have not been told they have to leave. They're more concerned about the fire going around the ridge on the outside here. And that's what we're seeing. So there are residents, they're loading up their cars and they're getting out there. Someone they're leaving right there. And a lot of residents helping each other too. But I mean, when we got here, Christine and Amy, it was very, very hectic with people coming in and out, trying to load up their cars and get down the street. So with the fire trucks all coming up, you saw a lot of residents leaving and going down the hill of this area. So it's a moving situation, I would say.